All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the CSHP showcase for what are we in? We're in August. No, just as be July, almost August. And so, welcome to the call. I know we're going to have people listening in live, and then we have those folks who are seeing this after it was recorded and it's being replayed. So, I want to welcome to the panel three of my favorite teams and then four of my favorite people. And just to give you a heads up, we have one more set of panelists that may be joining us. And so they may pop on. They're having a little bit of technical difficulties. And if they do, that's totally great. And if not, we'll catch them on the next one, right? We'll pop them in on the next one. So let's, I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. But before we do that, let me just say that this showcase is really designed for people who are curious about what makes certified senior housing professionals a little different in the market as it relates to real estate, because this is a newer designation or specialty for, and a lot of people aren't familiar with it. And it is a little bit different. So my goal for today is really to showcase some of the people who are out there in the market serving seniors at the highest level, doing it brilliantly, and how they came to that, what it is they're doing to differentiate themselves, and a little bit about how that affects you as a consumer or you as a real estate agent if you're watching today. So I'm going to start with having you guys introduce yourselves, and I'm going to give a little background on each one of you when you do that, because I know all of you from way back. So we're going to start with Cyndi Cummings down in Austin, Texas, beautiful Lakeway outside of Austin. Cyndi, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, how long you've been in real estate, and how long you've been specializing in seniors.
So again, my name is Cyndi Cummings. I live in the Austin area. I service the Austin area. We've been doing some business down in San Antonio too. It just seems like we're kind of growing.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the price. Austin has become more expensive and people have to consider moving outside the area. So we have been doing some more work in the San Antonio area. I have been a real estate agent. It'll be 20 years in October. I hope to have a big party and hope to invite y'all to it. And awesome. Come on to Austin.
Come on down.
I've been working with seniors, honestly, since I first got licensed. I started working with seniors. I knew that I had a propensity or a desire to work with seniors. We moved to an area that was basically a resort retirement town that's changed quite a bit now in 20 years. But I had an opportunity to work with a lot of people who were older, and I have really enjoyed working with that segment of population. I'd say I've been focused since about 2010.
Yeah. Great. 2010. Yeah. And, you know, I got to work with Cyndi in her office down in Austin for a short time when I lived there. And so we got to collaborate a little bit, and that was fun. And Cyndi also, just to brag on her a little bit, does a lot of teaching. And so not only real estate for people who are specializing in seniors, but also the technology side and a lot of different things, ethics and a lot of things that you teach, right, Cyndi? So Cyndi's very versatile and multifaceted. One of the things I love about you most, Cyndi, is that you have been willing to experiment with us along the way on things to see what works and what doesn't, and really get it right to help people. So. All right. So thanks, Cyndi, for being here. And I'm going to go to Lisa up in Indianapolis, Indiana. And Lisa, talk to us a little bit about where you are, what area you serve, and how long you've been in real estate, especially working with seniors.
Okay, I am Lisa Treadwell. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. I service basically central Indiana. Not basically, I do service central Indiana. And I've been a realtor since 2007. And I've been specializing in working with seniors since 2010.
Since 2010. Okay. So same as Cyndi, 2010, about that same time frame. Yeah. So yeah, I've watched Lisa's business grow too over the years. So Lisa has been with a couple of different brokerages before she went out on her own and launched her own brokerage, and now is growing it, which is exciting to watch.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think is fun about you is that you also have been doing all of this, raising a family too, a bunch of little kids running around. So I say a bunch, two of them at least.
Two, and just two. Don't give me any more.
Yeah. So being a mom and being a business owner is a really unique thing to do. And so it's been really fun watching you do that and effectively do that. Yeah. So.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, good deal. Glad to have you here. And then, of course, my favorites down in the Orlando, Florida area, Lyn and Paul. Henderson. And Paul, you said that your screen was locking up a little bit, but I think you're okay. I think you guys are fine on our end. So go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell us what you're up to down in Orlando and how long you've been doing this thing called real estate, working with seniors.
Well, we started in real estate, or I started in real estate 19 years ago. Paul Henderson, Lynn and I are the founders of Great Transitions. And then Lynn joined shortly after that. And I'll let Lynn talk about our business with relative to seniors.
So we, as Paul mentioned, have been doing this almost 20 years and decided to start specializing in the senior world about 7 years ago. And then have been certified with you all since 2017. So we're a little newer to the game, if you will. But have really seen how this has helped us grow our business. Our office is in Winter Park, Florida, just north of Orlando, but we service all of the Central Florida area.
And our service area actually expands out about 10 counties.
Okay, great. Yeah, perfect. And you guys too, like a lot of our agents that are CSHPs, have been doing great education, as have Cyndi and Lisa. And I've watched you guys, specifically Paul, you and Lynn, because Chris and I, work as a husband-wife team too. And so it's always fun to see how husband-wife teams work together to grow their business, and how they're having to juggle being married and being business partners at the same time is always an interesting thing to do. So very fun. No, I don't know what you mean, Lynn. It's not a challenge at all.
No, and just so Lisa doesn't feel left out, we have a stack of grandchildren, so we're juggling them also.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, good deal. All right, so now everybody kind of knows who you are. Let's talk a little bit about where you've been, what you've done, and why specifically you've done it. So the senior specialty is not something that everyone is interested in. A lot of people, in fact, have told me as of late, no, thank you. That's not working for me. I can't do that. And so it's interesting. This is a unique specialty, and not everybody wants to do it. So what is your motivation for doing it? Lisa, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, geez. When we were practicing, I got emotional. So I apologize in advance if I do. So in 2010, you, Nikki, and I had a coaching call, and I was lamenting about just how hard it was at the time to balance being a business owner, running my real estate business like a business, and trying to raise my kids and be, a good mom. And you mentioned, have you ever thought about specializing in seniors real estate? And I think back then it was a telecourse. I remember taking it like a telecourse or something. I know it's evolved a lot since then, but at that time, after that conversation, my grandma, who lived in Pinellas Park, Florida, got sick and ended up in a hospital, and then from there in a skilled nursing community. And I inadvertently became her patient, her advocate. I didn't know, I couldn't say that's what I was doing back then because I didn't know that much.
But you were.
Yeah. It was important for me to go down there and see her. I wanted at the time my daughter to meet her because my daughter was named after her, and one of her other grandmas. So those grandmas both lived long enough to meet Helen and know that, she's their namesake and everything. But I just remember advocating for her, and it was an eye opener, just sitting in the cafeteria with her, or the dining room with her, watching the other residents in the community. And I think I came back and told you, Nikki, okay, tell me more. And then I started taking the class. And so I enjoy the people in the industry that I meet, and a lot of them have a personal story as to why they got in to the senior industry as well. So
you're in good company. It's like it called you. Like all I did was plant the seed, and you kind of were like, yeah, maybe we'll see. And then life happened, and that was Sometimes some people just need a tap on the shoulder. Other people need a smack with a shovel. And
Yeah.
I think you got the shovel part of that, right?
I got the shovel, and you guys wouldn't believe me that as a child, it was game for me to get on my grandparents' last nerve. And my mom and I joke about it every time, like, look at you now, like
Yeah.
helping all these seniors. So
Right.
anyway.
Yeah. So yeah. And it's funny because some of the seniors are your grandparents' age and others are younger, and you've got this diverse group, and it's really a heart thing for you. I know that's why you got emotional when you started talking about it the other day on our interview call. Yeah. So good. I'm so glad to hear that. That I wanted to say this too. Helen, who is, how old is she now? 12?
She's 11. She'll be 12. She's
11.
going
Yeah.
to middle school next week.
Yeah, just think, with you having all these people that you serve, what a gift and a legacy to both she and your grandparents, right? For all these years, you'll have no idea what that is until it happens, but it's happening every single day. So,
Yeah.
all right, yeah. So, Paul, you and Lynn, go ahead and share a little bit about how you made it into the senior niche. How did that happen?
Well, like Lisa, I don't know that we ever intended to do it. I remember the month and date and even time of day when I got a phone call about my father being injured, and he was showing signs of dementia. And then that led us on a journey of dealing with things. And the financial stuff was very academic, but dealing with his belongings and his home was for lack of a better term, a nightmare, because no one knew what to do. There was no comprehensive out there person to call or people to call. And that went on for a long time. And Lisa's located in Indianapolis, and my parents were in Indiana and Illinois. So we probably passed each other on the airplanes as we were doing this. And we dealt with this, managing it from very long distance, which I always said was an airplane flight or a 2-day drive. And so we vowed, or I kept saying this, there's got to be something out there. I mean, I can't believe there's nobody that knows how to do this stuff. And later on, I entered into real estate around 2000, 2001, and we just gravitated to it. People were calling us and saying, my father or my mother's sick. We don't know what to do. Who do we call? What do we do? But we found that we're telling people our experiences, but we had no professional background to tell them anything, or to provide the help they needed, the guidance.
Right. And so
I didn't know that about you guys, Paul.
Yeah. You didn't? Yeah. See, you learned something new today. Lynn,
Yeah.
anything different for you, or do you kind of feel like that was it? That was the catalyst?
I think that was the beginning of the journey. Both of Paul's parents had dementia, and we helped each of them in succession, long distance. And we learned so much through that time period.
Yeah.
And so when it came to helping my parents, who were just a little bit younger, I really felt like we had a basis to start with, because we'd already been through it before. We knew a lot more at that point. We knew about communities and some of the ins and outs of that. So it certainly helped in helping my parents. But again, we were just kind of making it up on our own at that point.
Yeah.
We didn't have a program to use. And I think that's the difference between what we were dealing with back then and how we deal with it now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we're going to talk more about that, because I know you guys have gone to great lengths to even take that education steps further. So, Cyndi, how about you? What was the motivation? What caused you to say, you know what, I think this is what I want to do with my career?
I think I had mentioned before that we had moved to a town that had a lot of people who were retired. So it was just a very natural consumer for me to start to work with. What I did notice was it was complex. And I also saw that other agents were willing to refer those clients to me because they just didn't want to have to deal with it. So I knew that there was something there. I knew I had the patience. I knew that I had the project management skills, to be able to organize and to be able to help people have a complex move. So it was just kind of a natural thing. So I started doing it naturally. And then I realized I needed some help because I was making mistakes. It was taking me longer, to do things than I thought it should. And then that's when I sought out looking for a coach, and found you as a coach, and it was all over.
Yeah, right. So let's keep talking about that, and then I'll have the others answer this too. So what steps did you take? Because clearly you already had all the skills you needed, and you really kind of knew what path to take. When you went looking for something more to help you get better at this, what were you looking for, and what did you ultimately find?
Yeah, so I was looking for somebody that would help me be successful in the market. Oftentimes you can find coaches for specific different kind of clientele. I was with a company at that time that had a coaching service. And so I contacted them and I said, I was looking for somebody who specialized in the senior market. And they said, oh, so you're looking for a coach who's senior, meaning they've been around for a while. And I said, no, I'm looking for somebody who
Nobody gets
understands working with our elders, and they did not get it. I hung up the phone. So I started Googling, which is terrible, I guess. I started Googling, I
What we
found your
all do.
name. Yeah, found your name. And the interesting thing is that we did have some common things. You were from
Right.
a geographic area that you had lived in
Yeah.
before that was similar to mine. And you knew a lot of people that I knew. So I was able to vet you pretty quickly. But
Right.
really, I just wanted to succeed faster. And be more successful. And I had been making mistakes, and it was costing me time and money. And I just wanted somebody who could kind of guide me through that, or had programs or plans in place that I could just turnkey, where I could just buy it
Right.
and have
Yeah.
it work for me. And one of those was the seminar series kit
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
offer. And that helped immensely. So
Yeah,
that
because
was
you had been doing that for a while. And as I recall too, that now that I think about it, you had this group of vendors, like this amazing group of vendors in your market, and you had amassed this wonderful relationship with, but you were doing all the work. Like you were working really hard, and some of them were working hard too, but a lot of them weren't. And you were really struggling, like, how do I get all these people on board with me? And it seems like you've really got that down now. Like you've really
I do.
worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the people that you're aligning with are pretty amazing now, and I think that's awesome. So, and you and your husband work together as well, and he doesn't necessarily specialize in seniors, right? He works more on the buyer side, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
only a buyer's rep.
yeah,
So he only
yeah,
works with buyers.
yeah,
So when you're working with elders, typically they have a home to sell. So that's why I typically work with elders.
yeah. Awesome, I love it. And you have your SRES, correct?
I do. I have
Okay, and
taught for them. I've been
yep,
teaching for them for, I don't know, 10 years off and on.
yep,
And then the most recent thing that I earned was the downsizing coach certification, which has been
yep,
terrific. And it's helped me,
yep.
family members, and my clients too. So
Good, good. I'm glad. That's my favorite program in the whole world. So yeah. All right, good deal. So, Lisa, you guys, what did you do to get rolling? Now, you said, we were coaching together. I realized that, but you were like a consummate student. It seemed like you did a lot of things, and I don't know what order necessarily, but what did you do to get to where you feel like you right now, like you are a master at this? How did you get there?
So I am a consummate student, and sometimes that can be maddening in and of itself. But yeah, we were coaching, and I took your telecourse, and I literally just started doing what I was learning how to do in that course during the time of the course, and I thought, holy cow, this is like working. Like I don't know what it's doing, but like I'm meeting people, and I'm the only realtor in the room at the time. Just like what Paul said, there were no realtors specializing in senior real estate or downset. There wasn't. So it was kind of refreshing going to these networking events and meeting all of these other marketing people, and who cared about seniors as well, yet they weren't real estate agents. So that's changed a little bit since 2010. But and then in the real estate world, yes, there is SRES, and I think that's what most realtors recognize, or they at the time they did. And a lot of people in our area just take the SRES as like they need CE. For me, it was more like a formality, and I did it 2 years, I think about 2 years after I completed your course. And I had taken a trip down to Houston to see my dad. The class was offered down there. It wasn't even offered up here. And I took it, and at times I felt like I was giving people advice based on what I had learned from your course, actually. And you didn't pay me to say this, I know, but it was more like a formality, the SRES was, and I keep it, reviewed every year, and I read the newsletters and even use some of the tools there too. But ultimately, the Certified Senior Housing Professional course was the course that gave me the tools that I needed to take action and really make this my niche in real estate. And then I recently also completed the downsizing coaching course, and it made me take a step back and take more of a consultative, is that right?
Yeah.
Approach when working with seniors, especially the ones who I've been doing the monthly events, as you know, here in Indianapolis. Some of them I go right in and they're like, we've been attending your classes, your events for 5 years now. Just tell us where to sign. It's like amazing. But if we're not to that point yet, that's where the downsizing coaching really comes in handy, because it's not just a where do we sign kind of situation there. So
it's a longer term sales cycle. So you kind of walk them through that process. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So at one point, I believe too, you went and got a certification. Did you not? A gerontology certification?
I was talking to you about going back to school because, I'm a first generation college graduate, and I only have my bachelor's degree. So it's more like a personal thing to get more degrees, not, just more like a personal thing. But yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, then go get your gerontology degree. That's what I want you to get.
Oh, okay.
All right. Good.
I'll check that box off there.
Check that box off.
One last thing, I guess, one last step in the process too. As of January, I left big brokerage and just opened my own. And I'm the only brokerage in the area that specializes only in working with seniors and nothing else. We won't bring anybody else on that is not. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And that's a learning curve in and of itself, isn't it? Yeah. Opening your own shop. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good deal. So Paul, you and Lynn have had a lot of training, a lot of education. You're both teachers, retired teachers. And so you came from an education background. What did you do? What steps did you take to become experts?
Well, I think we actually started with the SRES. And at that point, we were just kind of looking for where can we get some education. We were interested in this niche, if you will, and we're looking to see what was out there. So we took the SRES, and, it was great for what it was. And it kind of gave you a foundation, taught you a lot of vocabulary and good information. It didn't help us to actually build our business, though. So we felt like we needed more. And you ended up actually coming to Orlando and speaking.
That's right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
And
I still have the notes.
And so when we saw that, it was like, oh my gosh, this is something we need to investigate and find out, get more information about it. Paul attended that 3-hour class that you had, and came back and said, this is it. This is what we need to be doing. And so we got our certification with you. And then we also have taken the downsizing coaching skills class and found that really, really valuable as well. And have seen, like what Lisa mentioned, that some living rooms, when we walk in, they're ready to sign right then, but not everybody is. And I think that class certainly helped us in asking the right questions and being able to have conversations and just help them, because this is a process for seniors. This is not a decision that's made lightly. And so, we're there to help and guide them along the way. And that's what that class really helped us with.
Yeah. Awesome. And, I think, just as a matter, you guys are all very humble, but I know as a matter of just keeping your CE up with the Seniors Real Estate Institute and your other real estate C, you guys are taking a ton of other classes on the topic. But I also know that you're interviewing a lot of people out there in the senior real estate world, or in the senior industry. And so you're amassing this education that isn't really even official. It's informal, but gosh almighty, you guys could teach these classes in most rooms you walk into. You guys could teach the class, I know. I want to talk a little bit about what makes you guys different. Now, you've already kind of alluded to this that you all do education, that you all have vendors that you work with, but I really want you to dive a little deeper into that. What would you say when you think about people in the market, and knowing that real estate people kind of are considered, real estate agents are considered a commodity? You know, they think we're all the same, and that all we do is help people sign paperwork and that's it. When people get into real estate, they realize that's not true, but that's what people seem to think. So how are you really differentiating yourself in the market as it relates to the real estate industry? So Lynn, I'm Paul. I'll start with you guys, kind of pick up where you left off.
I think the first thing is we started an education series, and we started originally out of necessity. We would go into people's living rooms and talk to them, and it might be a conversation where we don't want to be here, we don't want you here, but we're doing it because the kids told us we had to. And so we would start talking about what their needs were and finding out that they really didn't know what they didn't know. And so we kept coming away from these. The kids, the adult children would say, I have a power of attorney and we're all handled, everything's fine. I know mom and dad are in, near the end of their life, for example, but I've got a power of attorney, I'll handle everything. Things as basic as that. And we originally started doing the seminars in communities, and so we were invited, but they would tell us what they wanted us to talk about. Right. And usually it was to brag about the community. And we're fine with that. I mean, that's wonderful, but it wasn't educational. Right. So we started developing our own education series and literally doing it on our own. And then as we were working more and more with Senior Real Estate Institute, realized that there was a Seniors Truth Series available for us to use. And we very much use it. We just had a seminar yesterday. Yep. And we're back live with those. But I think that what has come out of that, from a standpoint of those listening today, it has actually become a feeding ground, if you will. That may not be the best term, but a pipeline for our business, because we get the phone call from people who attend our seminars, and we always start them with, we're not here to sell you anything. Right. And they call us and say, we need you to come out. We come to your seminars. We trust you. We're not doing anything till we talk to you.
Yeah.
And so from that, that's a huge responsibility.
Right. So I think about what you said earlier about your motivation for getting into this. And
we take that very, very seriously, but it's
sorry, you guys cut out on me a little bit. So I'm going to say, I wanted to say, based on the motivation that you guys shared earlier for why you got into this, and how you guys had to go out and find information, and how you were caring for parents. And so your education series, it's both. I know you're out there to educate elders and longtime homeowners, but adult children also benefit from that. And and it doesn't obligate them to work with you. It just equips them to make really good decisions. And that is huge. And I don't know how many, I've been to so many seminars. Matter of fact, I've gone to several just as a means of training myself on how to be a better speaker, so I'll go to any seminar on any topic. It doesn't matter whether I'm interested in the topic or not. And as I listen to these sales trainer, these presenters, rather, seminar presenters, they're always trying to sell something, right? They're always selling something. It's like, I keep thinking, I'm like, okay, where's the upsell? Where's the upsell? And the education that you guys, and I know all of you are offering, there isn't an upsell. It's, you're there to give and you're there to serve. And then if somebody needs your services, you're available, of course, but that's not the point. And I think that does differentiate you, not just in real estate, but in industry, period, across the board. Yeah. So Lisa, what about you? Like, when you think about Indianapolis, I know there are a ton of people in Indianapolis who have kind of, for whatever reason, Indianapolis seems to be one of those areas that's heavily saturated in agents who say they specialize in seniors. And some do, and some are just saying that. But how do you prove to people that this is really who you are and what you're about? How do you separate yourself?
Well, I'm really surprised at the similarities that Paul, that we have. I do the family events as well. And I said earlier, sometimes I go into people's houses and they say, where do I sign? That has not always been the case. I should let everybody know that I worked really hard to get to that point with some of these people.
Yeah.
Who I, by the way, consider my friends. I go out to lunch sometimes with some of the people from our panel events that we do, but I'm ending my 5th year of doing those religiously every second Thursday of the month, and it has always been my goal to just keep getting better. We didn't miss a beat when COVID came. We had already been using Zoom for other team meetings, my team and I, so we were pretty familiar with Zoom. So March 2020 was our last in-person event. And then we went right to Zoom. We started marketing it. And like Paul, that is my main source of lead generation. All of the advertising leading up to it and all of the post, marketing of how successful the event was and the event itself. That is how I run my real estate business. I think the differentiator is that just coming from a background of, or coming from contribution, I'm helping to educate the audience. And then one thing I did not mention was I also have another certification that a lot of us have through NASM, the National Association of Senior Move Managers. The reason why I have that and I continue to keep up on the requirements for that certification is because we have an ancillary service that will soon be its own LLC. I just had a meeting with my accountant today. Yeah, so that is right now it's called Downsizing Indie. It's a DBA of my real estate brokerage, but Downsizing Indie is the project management service that we offer for our senior downsizers. So we consider downsizing your project, and my team manages that project. And the thing that is music to my ears is when people say things like, I cannot believe that organizations like yours exist. I wish I would have known about this when I had to take care of my parents, or that was the most easiest, most relaxing move I've ever had in my life. Or like I get cold chills just thinking about people saying that, and they do say that. And so that's definitely those are the differentiating factors for us.
So what I hear you saying is it's really an end-to-end solution, right? It's beginning with education. What do you need to know? How can you do this? What are the things you need to know that are important? And then when you're ready, by the way, we can actually help you do those things, either hands-on or with the people that we work with as a project manager. And I know Paul, you and Lynn down there do that as well. And so does Cindy's team. And so then on the end, you go, okay, then I can also sell your home and we can get your home sold. And so holy moly, right? So who else do they need to call? I mean, so that's what I'm hearing is that that's really one phone call and then all of that happens seamlessly. Yeah.
And the people who try to do it alone or cut corners or not use our services, either one way or another, end up using our services, whether they actually pay us for it or not, just inadvertently, we're giving them advice. We're not necessarily managing the project, but they should have hired us to manage the project because there's a lot of moving parts and logistics. And that's where we come in.
Yeah. So I'm going to just transition down. Cyndi, I think I'm hearing a lot of similarities. I know your team down in Austin is very similar as well. You want to speak to the differentiation? Like, how are you separating yourself from others in your market?
Yeah, I think we've heard it from everybody else that we do
Yeah.
offer the education. We've been doing the education for a long time. Something else that we all do a real good job at, and that's networking with other professionals in the industry. And so we might have loose groups or we might have formal groups that we're a part of. But what I found out is that I couldn't do it on my own. I needed to have other specialists who would help me get through the process. So having these professionals that are your go-to people that you can call when you have a problem with a probate question or even a painter, you know, things like that. It's so important to have those people that you trust. So I think we're really good networkers and bringing people together and also vetting these people to make sure that they'll be working with our clients in a way and a manner in which is acceptable to us. It's definitely, I consider white glove service for our clients. They've earned it, they deserve it, and a lot of them expect it too. So we are definitely at a higher level of performing all the time. So we also do some fun events. We had been doing an annual event for seniors on Senior Citizens Day. We had a luncheon. We normally would have about 100 people at our luncheons. That was really fun. We sponsor events such as Shred Day, which you don't think shredding matters, but when you're a senior and you're moving out of your home that you've been in for 50 years, you really like shred days. So we do that. And then we've got the move management also. I'm the only realtor that I know in Austin that has move management associated with their real estate. And it just is one phone number for people to call. So as soon as we get connected with them, they just call me if they need a painter, they call me if they need a mover, they call me if they need anything. And then we set up those appointments. Oftentimes we attend those appointments with our clients and we get bids with, you know, at that time when we review bids with them too. So it's a lot more than selling your house, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot more. You guys are, you know, definitely have raised the bar, right, for what someone should expect in a real estate professional. That's the one thing I hear is that, you know, we've all kind of said we're not just a regular realtor. We are a realtor that does a whole lot more, and essentially all of it. It's like if you don't do all of it, you at least arrange for all of it, and that's a big part of the puzzle. So as we finish up today, I want to just hear from you all. What would you say to other real estate professionals? I know we have a lot of real estate agents listening into this because they're curious about how it is to work with seniors and what they might need to do. And aside from what's obvious to me is that you really have to have a heart for this. What else would you say to realtors out there that are thinking about specializing? Oh, sorry. Cyndi, go ahead.
I was just going to say, don't try to reinvent the wheel. And that's one of the things that I love about SREI. Not only is it great education, we can take training and things like that. We also do a lot of masterminding together and sharing what's working, what's not working. It's just a great group of realtors to be working with. But I would just say, don't, you know, you might have this great idea, but we've all been doing it for a couple of years. Why don't you try it the way we're doing it? And then maybe you could add your pizzazz to it or whatever. But I would just say, take advantage of the tools that are already available for you. Oftentimes we spend a lot of time preparing and thinking about what we should do, and having these tools just allow you to get started and just do it. I mean, you just flat out do it. So I love that.
Good. I was thinking you were going to say, be willing to make a bunch of mistakes before you get it right, because all of us are having to learn through trial and error, right? But it helps.
But the great thing is that we can just go on our Facebook page and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And somebody can say, we tried it, not sure.
Right.
Or these are some things that made it more successful for us. So it's just a great group of people to be in communication with.
Yeah. Shortens the learning curve for sure. Yeah.
It sure
makes a little more fun too. Yeah. Lisa, what about you? What would you say to realtors out there thinking about it?
Besides obviously having a heart for seniors, I think we like glaze over that. Like it's obvious, but it's in here in Indianapolis where it is a little bit saturated with people working in the senior industry and trying to, you know, build their careers around all of the downsizers. It is so obvious and so clear when you are in this industry for the wrong reasons, whether it's in real estate, especially specializing with seniors, or home health, or whatever it is. It's so obvious. And that's why you asked about the competitors. I don't even have to think about them because I know where my heart is, and I know, what we're doing is right, and it's for the right reasons. So it's not for the faint at heart. Real estate in itself is not for the faint at heart. This is a hard business. And when you add in the seniors niche, we are doing a lot more than realtors who don't specialize in working with seniors. Many of my clients have to sign in person with pen and paper because they don't do DocuSign or dot-loop or any sort of e-signature. And not only for signing my documents, but when they get offers on their properties and all that stuff, that's I feel like we are just constantly problem solving. Even though we're not reinventing the wheel, because we have done our monthly events just like right in line with all of us here on the webinar. But for other things, like each job and each downsizing project is different, and it comes with its different set of challenges that people, they're looking to us to figure out and fix. And I don't like to tell people no. I don't like to hear no, just get it done. And so that's kind of like what we do. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah. So like you said, I think the words it's not for the faint of heart, right? Be willing to go the extra mile if you're going to do this. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Paul, you and Lynn, anything you want to add to that? What you would say to other agents?
Well, I think all of us, Cyndi, Lisa, we all do our businesses a little differently, but we're offering such comprehensive services, and we're in people's living rooms so often doing these things. Like Lisa said, we wet sign everything. We don't do electronic signatures very often, and they are willing and wanting to pay us for what we're doing. So we don't get into arguments about commissions. There are opportunities for us to charge for other things that we do. I'm kind of a numbers guy, and at least Nikki knows that. And our average commission on our business, when we got serious about doing senior business and started our seminar series and started things that we do that are focused strictly on seminars, our average commissions doubled over what we make on people who are not in that niche. And we charge for other services that we provide, and it's substantial at the end of the year. So from a business standpoint, if somebody is serious about this and they're going into it for the right reasons, because it is tough, you're going to get phone calls from people. There's a lady that comes to our seminars all the time, and she called me one day, and she said, Paul, I think you and Lynn would want to know my son just died.
Wow. Yeah.
We get those phone calls. We go to funerals and things. But at the end of the day, it is so rewarding. It is absolutely worth it.
Yeah. I always say in this world, you can have a business that's highly profitable, or you can go and volunteer somewhere that's very much a part of your passion and your heart, or you can do both together. And this morning when I asked our team at a meeting, I said, what's your pet project? What is it you do for fun you're passionate about, but it's your pet project? And we kind of went around the table, the group did, and they got to me and I said, you know what? I said, our seminar series, right? That's my pet project. It's business, but it's really not. It's more about what I love. And does it help with business? And does it make business more fun and easy and profitable? Yeah, for sure. But it's like, what is it? They always say, if you love what you do, you never really work a day in your life, right? And I kind of hear you guys saying that. Like, what you do is hard work, but at the end of the day, you sleep really well at night, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it. So guys, last question real quick. Just what would you say to a longtime homeowner or a family member that's in their area and they're looking for a real estate agent, and you're not there? Like they would love to hire you, but you're not in their market and there's not another CSHP out there. What would you say to them? One question or one thing that they should do to make sure they find the right agent for them. What would it be? Lisa? Sorry. Okay. Cyndi, you go first.
Well, this is different than what we had talked about the question being. So let me just figure out what that question would be, because
Yeah.
because the fact is, it is important to work with somebody like us. And so I would say spend your time trying to find somebody who can provide these kind of services. So just ask those questions to where you feel comfortable that that person is going to provide the same level of service that you would get like from somebody like us. So one of the questions I would ask is, how many people will I have to call if I need to get something done?
Oh, good question.
I guess, you know, because really we're project managers in a lot of ways. We're saying, we're your number, call us. Don't worry about calling a plumber, call us. We'll call the plumber. We'll have the plumber come out. We'll get plumbing bids for you. So you got one number to call. I would say when you're interviewing with a real estate agent, ask them how many people you're going to have to call to get things done.
Great question. Yeah, great question. Yeah, Lisa, did you think of something, or you want me to go to Paul first?
No, it's okay. So if there was not a seniors, a certified senior housing professional in that area, I most likely would be inclined to do the research for that person myself, especially if I knew them well and I considered them a friend. And I would look for things, I would look for, since I am a member of NASM, I would look for NASM members and ask them who the realtor is that they use a lot, and then maybe go through those channels, which is another benefit of being part of another professional organization. Network. Yes. But I mean, that's the best answer. I don't know. It's not very good.
It's a great, it's a great answer. I think it's a great answer. In other words, I was just say, what I hear you saying is, don't go it alone. Ask the realtor you know, ask the person you know, and let them help you do the research. Don't feel like you have to do it yourself. So what I hear you saying, which I think is great. Yeah, because we're all very well connected. So if you contacted us and said, I don't have anybody in my market that I know of, can you help me find them? Most of us are going to be able to help them find somebody. That's maybe not exactly what we do, but at least as closely to what we do as possible. Yeah. Paul, you and Lynn want to add to that?
Well, I think, tagging onto what Lisa just said, I think we can help in researching agents in their market, help them find an agent, vet them, ask them the questions. How much experience do they have working with seniors? Maybe they have some experienced agents in that field. They just don't have the certifications and are part of the group like we are.
Right.
So there are some of those agents out there, and we can help find them. We can stay as involved in that project as they want us to. And that may give them an extra level of confidence too.
Yeah.
Florida's unique in that nobody's from here. And everybody who lives here has relatives somewhere else. So Lynn and I literally do 6 to 10 times a year, manage a real estate project in another state. And we're finding an agent up there. We just did one in Phoenix, Arizona. We found an agent out there who could handle it, and we walked them through the process. I'm working with an agent or a couple right now in North Carolina. It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I tell you what, I think you guys are amazing. Of course, I've always thought that, and as I listen to you today, it just validates for me how very important the work is that we all do. And I don't want to sound self-important, but I want to emphasize to you guys that you are different, and that there's not a lot of people out there that will go to the lengths that you do to serve the client at the highest level, which is huge. So that's what we're all about, right? Making a difference in their lives. Getting their house sold is the easy part, right? I mean, selling their house, it's everything else that goes with that, right? And not very many realtors are going to do all the other things so that the person's house sale is as easy as you guys make it. So thank you for that. Those of you who are listening into the recorded seminar, please know that there's a screen at the end that will have the contact information of the agents that you've heard today, the contact information for Seniors Real Estate Institute. I know these guys are always talking to people about what they do and helping people decide if it's right for them. So reach out to them, reach out to us. We're happy to talk you through it. And of course, we'd love to invite you to join the community if you think it's right for you. We'd love to have you be a part of the CSHP family. So thank you guys so much. Blessings to all of you. Thank you for doing this. I'm just really proud to be in business with all of you.